Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. I am Adam. We are live. This is the preview for Manchester United against Wolves, the FA Cup third round replay, which is at Old Trafford on Wednesday night. A game that, the managers probably wouldn't want, but it's set up a entertaining, what proposes to be an entertaining replay at Old Trafford, regardless of what both managers 11s are out there on the night, whether both of them rest players like they did in the first leg or they go with strong teams. It promises to be an entertaining game. These games have been very close, and the last 5 times Manchester United have played Wolves, we've not been able to beat them on any of those occasions, home or away, on last 5 occasions. I think 3 or 4 of them may have been at the Molyneux, but we haven't been able to beat them at all in the last 5 games in 12 months or something ridiculous like that. So it's been a crazy record against Wolves for Manchester United. We should have beat them away in the league this season, but we didn't. Obviously missing that penalty, that was a frustrating thing, but this game there has to be a winner, whether it goes to extra time, penalties. There has to be a winner on the night at Old Trafford, so we could be in for a very, very late one, but hopefully Manchester United can get the business done in the 90 minutes. I wonder what side Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be putting out as well. Will he be going with a strong 11, or will he go with a reason, not a weak 11, because we haven't got many options, but will he go to rest 1 or 2 key players, the Maguires or Rashfords or things like that? Will he try to rest those players and play some of the fringe players or players that have been on the bench in recent games? Because that's always one of those things, because obviously the league games are vitally important. We've got a massive game coming up against Liverpool at the weekend, and regardless of where they sit in the league, we want to go there and get a point or 3. So going into that game, we need points in the league, but the cup competitions are probably the only place where we can get silverware. And with that being said, I would therefore expect us to field a strong team against Wolverhampton Wanderers, especially because they're probably going to do the same. So we have to preempt that. The worst thing we want is United don't play a strong enough 11 and Wolves do, and we get beat at home comfortably, because they have the potential to do that. They're a very well drilled, well coached side, and they're a very good team as well. So we have to be wary of their ability at Old Trafford to hit us on the break or get a goal out of nothing, because of the players that they do have at their disposal, even if they opt to rest 1 or 2. That's how strong Wolverhampton Wanderers are, and they've just come up from the Championship in the last season or 2. So it's incredible when you look at that. They've had 1.5 seasons in the Premier League, and you already look at them as like a team that you'd expect to in a couple of years be challenging to get in those Europa League. Well, they're already challenging to be in the Europa League spots, but if they're going to spend, they're going to be challenging to get into those Champions League spots as well. And the project that's there at Wolverhampton Wanderers is one that seems to be paying off for them at the moment. They've got some players that would, their midfield's better than ours. Their first choice midfield is better than ours. When you look at, obviously, you've got Moutinho, Neves. They start for Manchester United. They start for Manchester United all day long. So they've obviously got some very talented players, and if they go with that full strength team, and the full strength midfield, we have got a battle on our hands to maintain possession, keep the ball, and try and build our attacks from there. And for that reason, I expect Ole to go with a strong side. Obviously, we're still missing McTominay, we're still missing Pogba, we're still missing Bailly and Timothy Fosu-Mensah, despite the fact that they play in the 23s. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in his press conference says he expects it to be the same matchday squad that we saw against who did we play at the weekend now? Norwich, when we played at the weekend and we won 4-0. So he expects it to be the same team from that game there. The same squad, if not the same 11. Will he play Mason Greenwood from the start? Obviously, come on, got a goal, fantastic strike for him. 9 goals this season now, so he's proving he can get goals. And is this a game for him to be starting? He's played in a lot of the cup competitions when you're looking at the Europa League and the Carabao Cup. Obviously, he's been coming on in those Premier League games. He's getting goals for Manchester United. 9 goals, as I said. I think he's only made 12 starts this campaign. So you're looking at, most of his appearances this season have come from the bench, and he's got 9 goals already. He's contributing very, very well to the team. And when you look at the Martial's goals, 11, 19 from Rashford. That's 30 between them. What did I say at the start of the season? We need 50 between them. They're already 60% of the way there. You'd expect as well that, you'd expect that you'd expect that Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford. Sorry, I got distracted by some of the comments in the comments section. You'd expect those teams, those players to be getting more goals. You'd expect Rashford to hit 25 now. If you looked at it between now and the end of the season, and Rashford only scored 6 more goals between now and then, he'd be disappointed. Never mind, we'd be disappointed. He'd be disappointed. So he should be hitting that 25 goal mark. Anthony Martial, I think he's made 19 starts, 3 from the bench, so 22 appearances, 11 goals, a handful of assists as well. And when you're looking at that, you're obviously seeing a man that's scoring goals. But also, in that last game that Manchester United played, Anthony Martial's performance looked pretty good. It looked pretty good. The all-round dirty stuff, diving into challenges, trying to win the ball, trying to gain possession. And I think his movement throughout the season has gotten better and better. He's leading the line well. There's often times you'd see him being really frustrated that his teammates aren't pressing with him or his teammates aren't coming up with him. And I think it's been very good strides from not just Marcus Rashford, who obviously when you look at his goal scoring numbers and you see he's got 19 goals, 5 assists or something like that, he's one of the top goal scoring and assist making players in Europe. When you look at that, you think it's obvious Marcus Rashford making progression, but so is Anthony Martial. When you look in his all-round performances, and obviously he's got the goals as well, 11 in 22 appearances, 19 starts, that's 1 in 2 appearances is getting goals, and that's what you want from your number 9. So he's on for 20 to 25 goals as well. People in the comments saying Fabrizio Romano's tweeted and that, I've got Fabrizio Romano, Di Marzio, Simon Stone, all those guys on notification. So if anything does pop off, I'll know about it. And that's why I was getting a little bit distracted and checking my phone then. MMA says Marcus, Mason, Anthony says Maurice in the comments. There's a whole lot of them. So much ball going about, says St. Cole. Thank you for tuning into the show as well, guys, that I can see in the live comments. And if you haven't tuned into the show live and you've caught up later, as thousands of you do, then thank you very much for doing that as well. So thank you for tuning in. If you're watching now, hit that like button right now. We're going to be doing loads in this show. We're going to be having the predicted 11 from myself, and we'll be wanting yours as well. Predicted scores from myself and wanting yours as well. We'll be having all that, so make sure you're keeping it locked for that and getting your comments and any questions that you've got in ahead of that game against Wolverhampton Wanderers. As I said, we'll give you the team news and what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said pre-match in his press conference. He said, and I quote, "We'll probably have a similar squad to what we had at the weekend against Norwich. Eric is playing today behind closed doors, so he's very close to full fitness, but it's still a few days early, this one. Ashley Young is missing out of this game, as it looks like he's trying to get a deal to Inter Milan, but there's been rumours of Inter Milan potentially signing someone else, so that one could be all up in the air. Luke Shaw is a doubt as well after feeling a tight hamstring in the warm-up at the weekend, and Tahith Chong taking his place on the bench. Jesse Lingard's involvement is also uncertain, but I expect he may be back for this one, considering it's an illness that he was out with at the weekend, but who knows. The boss must decide. This is what the article goes on to say on the Man United website. The boss must decide whether to give Marcus Rashford a rest as United bid to set a 4th round clash away to either Tranmere Rovers or Watford. Watford and Tranmere were supposed to play today, but that game has been postponed because of the weather, and therefore that one hasn't gone ahead today. So we still don't know who's going through in that game, and that game won't be settled today, although you'd expect Watford to be able to get a victory at Tranmere. They were 3-0 up against Tranmere at home, and drew 3-3 incredibly. Inter Milan, I've got them on my TV at the moment, are winning 2-0 with Alexis Sanchez and Lukaku playing up top for them, and they want Ashley Young, and they want Nemanja Matic, if you believe the rumours. They want all these players. They're going to become a Manchester United X team, and they'll probably go and win Serie A or something crazy like that. It shows you the differences in what you need to be successful in both of those leagues. I'm not going to be disrespectful to the league and say it's awful, because it's not. It's clearly a very good league, and it's very difficult to play in, but you see the forms of players in the Premier League, and it's more suited to them because obviously it's a slower game as well. And I'm sure Ashley Young will be able to prolong his career a little bit if he does go out there. It's a shame if he's gone out a little bit sad and he's gone out by not wanting to play for Manchester United and get this deal done. If that is true, and I say if because it might not be true, then that is really disappointing to hear from Ashley Young, someone that's been, in his time a good servant for the club, and he'd be really disappointed if that was the case. But nevertheless, Inter have done a better rebuild than Man United have been in the rebuild of ourselves, which it's a mad one, isn't it? What are you guys saying in the comments? In the FA Cup as well, Tottenham are already winning. Newcastle are winning 2-0 as well. 3-0 as they've gone and scored again. So all those games, it looks like the favourites are going to be going through in the FA Cup today. Watford, obviously that one has been postponed due to the waterlogged pitch. I believe the waterlogged pitch at Prenton Park, the Tranmere Stadium, I think it's called Prenton Park, I may have got that wrong, but I believe it was supposed to be the stadium for the women's game, the Manchester United women's game at the weekend as well, which was postponed. Then they tried to save the pitch for the FA Cup game and they couldn't do it. The rainfall in England has been pretty bad. We've had I don't know what the storm's called this time, but we've had all sorts going on. Guys, there isn't any transfer news, guys, so just chill. At the moment there isn't any transfer news. If there is transfer news tonight, I will be going live again, so make sure you're keeping your eyes and ears peeled for that one. And if you want to know more about Bruno Fernandes, Shea Guevara on Twitter, you may remember him from some Full-Time Devils videos, or you may just know him off Twitter anyway, and the various other things that he does for sporting publications. He did a good thread today based on Bruno Fernandes, which I enjoyed. And it breaks down a lot of the comparisons. If he's going to join United, obviously there's still a lot of question marks around that, and we know how stingy United can be, and the deal may fall through. Anyway, guys, make sure you keep your comments coming in. Make sure you keep your thoughts coming in ahead of the Manchester United against Wolves game. Look, if there's anything popping on Reddit about Bruno Fernandes, I don't care. We're only going to talk about, reliable reports coming through. And until that happens, I'm not going to talk about them right now because it's just long. If the tweet comes soon, then happy days. But until then, let's relax a little bit, yeah? Relax. We're talking Man United against Wolves. Relax. If it happens, we're live anyway, and we'll talk about it. But chill, ZOC. Thank you for tuning in as well. But chill, brother. 4-0 again, hopefully, says Zahir. I don't think this one will be 4-0 against Wolves because Wolves are a pretty good side. Thoughts on United's poor social media posts just seem to be a platform for hate. United's poor, I don't have notifications on Manchester United, and I don't check their Twitter page every day. I check it on a match day, probably, and like a few pictures or whatever, but I don't check it every single day. Saying that, I've probably liked one of their tweets today if I've seen something, but I don't know what you're on about. So indulge me further in the comments in what's going on social media. Anyway, this is my predicted team for this one, and as I was saying, we need to be going with a strong team in this one. So I've gone with David De Gea in goal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Williams. Now I would love to be able to see Eric Bailly, Axel Tuanzebe, one of them fellas playing, but they're not ready for it. So Lindelof, Maguire at centre half, then Matic, Fred in that midfield area. Matic has been an improvement in midfield, a refreshing improvement. Obviously I've been critical of him, but he's been improved in there, whether he's looking for a move. Obviously the break and the not playing much football is going to help him as well, but Matic has looked good in there. Greenwood, Andreas, Rashford. I've gone with Greenwood. I think he should get a start, hopefully get a few early goals. If United can get a few early goals, then we can take Rashford and Marshall off, and wrap him in cotton wool for the weekend. But that game is on the Sunday, so I think we should start as many of our stronger players as possible. That includes Martial, Rashford, Matic, Fred, who will probably be the midfield at Anfield, Brandon Williams, who I think is our first choice left back now. Obviously Luke Shaw's out, and Ashley Young is not going to be playing in this game. So unless Diogo Dalot gets a start, which isn't that far out of the realms of a possibility, then I'd go with Wan-Bissaka and Williams. Lindelof and Maguire at the heart of the defence, with David De Gea in goal. Now, Romero wasn't on the bench, if I remember correctly, at the weekend. So I'm not sure what's going on with him. Maybe he's got an injury. But David De Gea in goal for this one, regardless of whether Romero's available or not. Young's out, Shaw's a doubt, and the game has come too early for Bailly and Timothy Fosu-Mensah. The last time out, we drew 0-0 with Wolves, obviously. 1-1 in the league game, 0-0 in this game, which is the Cup, which has seen us go to a replay. That game was pretty dire. United hit the post when Rashford came on late. Didn't go that close to a goal. I don't think we had any shots on target, although, you know, with some of the opportunity, I think Harry Maguire had a header, should have scored. And Marcus Rashford clipped the ball, which obviously doesn't count as a shot on target. But yeah, that game was pretty dreadful. Hopefully this game is better to watch, and I've just noticed that says Norwich. Obviously we're not playing Norwich, we are playing Wolves, and I'm going to sort that out right now as well. So sorry about that one. It would be good if we were playing Norwich again though, wouldn't it? Scored 7 goals against them this season. If we were playing Norwich again, that would be pretty good. No disrespect to Norwich, although I guess that's disrespectful in itself, isn't it? So yeah, I've sorted that out now. The change should take effect immediately with that one. So yeah, hopefully the stream don't go slow because I've opened Photoshop to do it. But nevertheless, it has been changed now. Manchester United do have Wolves in the FA Cup third round replay, with the opportunity to play Watford or Tranmere in the next round. That is my predicted 11. That is the team news. Young's out, Shaw's a doubt, and of course the game come too early for Bailly and Timothy Fosu-Mensah. The opposition are obviously a very strong side. When you're looking at these guys, Wolves, who are their major threats? Who do we think are their major threats? Now you're looking at, obviously, Ruben Neves. He can take the free kicks, set pieces to create a goal, and obviously he can score from those areas, or even if the ball drops, you know, from a cleared corner or something, he's able to score from those positions. I thought Brandon Williams did really well with Adama Traore in the last game in the third round, and it'd be interesting to see that battle again. Just because Brandon Williams did well in the last game doesn't mean he's going to do well in this game, and it'd be a big challenge for him again, but I'd go with him there. Then of course I have Fred trying to help out as much as possible, or maybe we'd put Matic on that side of the two midfield, just so he can give that support to Williams. I'd keep Maguire next to him as well, in there, just to give him that little bit of support, and Rashford in front of him is also always going to help him and track back and support him. It wouldn't be a surprise to see Andreas play out there as well, because we know Andreas likes to drop deep and do things from there. Rabia Ahmed says that 11 looks solid. It would be better if we could play Chelsea, says they here. We've got a good record against Chelsea under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. Evening, Adam. Hope you're well. Thank you for the comment, Alex. Thank you for tuning in to AdamMcKola TV. This is the preview for Manchester United against Wolves in the FA Cup third round, coming up very, very soon. Well, in the next 24 hours, in fact. I forgot what time the kickoff was. Was it 8 PM or 7:45? Let me just check on that right about now. Man United versus Wolves is 7:45 kickoff. So 90 minutes, potential for extra time, potential for penalties at Old Trafford. The fact that we've got home advantage is really good as well in this game, in case it does go to extra time or penalties. Matty Wig, thank you for the comment, mate. That's what we're here for. We don't need to be angry and reactionary and all that to get them views. Hopefully being just honest and chilled and having a nice chat will bring as many as possible. Make sure you're getting them comments in. The volume's fine for me, my end. I can spike it up a little bit if it will help, but I think everybody's saying it's pretty much fine. But I can try and get that raised a little bit for you. Does that help? Right there, that should help a little bit. So yeah, make sure you're keeping it locked anyway by hitting that subscribe button as well, because we'll be live after I've finished fan cams at Old Trafford. Hopefully the wind and the rain and all that ain't going on an absolute mad one, and we'll have much more content coming your way with the big game against Liverpool on the horizon as well. Neves and Traore are threats. Many are saying Traore is a few goal wonder, but we can't underestimate them because they knocked us out last season, but tactics need improving. for this game and others. Adama Traore is not just all pace as well. I understand what you're saying. He has been in the past, but he's been able to shape that a little bit now and bring into play his link-up ability, being able to just dink balls to the back post or get a cross in. He's showing the option to do both, either take them down the flank and whip a cross in, or get a shot in. He's obviously got both in his locker, so he's always a threat, and with that pace as well on the counter-attack, you'd imagine Manchester United will probably have most possession at Old Trafford. If we do, then Adama Traore, Ruben Neves, Moutinho in that midfield, if they're playing, finding those passes, spraying them out to Adama Traore is going to be dangerous. Thank you for your comment, Chris Holton. Anand says, why are we trying to keep Young still in our club when he clearly wants out? Now, he does obviously seemingly want out of Manchester United. Now, Ollie's probably just worried that we'll leave the squad a little bit light. What have we got to gain in terms of a transfer fee with him being available and a free at the end? And I can understand that. But look, if he wants to go, let him go. It's not a major issue for me personally. I just wish he'd handle it with a little bit of decency. If he has threatened not to play and all that, then it's a bit distasteful. Hopefully it's been a gentleman's agreement for him to sort it out. And in that time, while he does sort it out, he won't be playing, which is fair enough because Ollie's made it clear. And look, Ollie deserves some of the criticism he gets for his management, his tactics, his substitutions, some of the results that we've had in the league this season. I understand it. But he has done some good things, and what he's done is he's instilled a culture where players that want to be here are playing. Players that want to fight for their shirt are here and playing. If you don't want to be here, you won't be here. And to see that kind of attitude is refreshing. Now, I know some will point to Paul Pogba, and I think Fergie had that attitude, but he also had that attitude in terms of keeping players and being a little bit selfish at times. And I think that's what Ollie did. Now, obviously, Pogba's had his injuries, and he's tried to keep Pogba for another season, just in order to help us get through this season. Now, he's been injured. He couldn't foresee that. So I get, if some people are going to say, well, Pogba stayed even though he wanted to leave. All right, fair enough. But I think there was a reason towards that. And I just think, he's instilled a good attitude at the club. He's made good changes to the squad. Those changes have been very slow in terms of players coming in. In an ideal world, they would have been quicker. But you can't argue with the transfers that have happened. We just wish more came in. But of course, you have to get everything right as a manager. You can't just get your man management right, your transfers right, and get your tactics and your game management wrong, because ultimately you'll fail. Just like you can't get your tactics and your game management right every game, but have your man management and your transfers wrong, because ultimately you will eventually fail. You have to be able to tick all of those boxes, and that's what we're waiting to see from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as manager. But this is another game where he's got to try and change something to pick the lock. We've seen in 5 games against Wolves, we ain't been able to get the victory. Now, he hasn't managed all of those games, but he's managed 2 this season. He managed 1 last season, I think. But nevertheless, he's managed a couple of games against Wolves, so he has to be able to see where we're getting it different, where we're changing things, where we're getting it right, and where we're getting it wrong, and hopefully change things to get better in this game and get a better result against Wolves. In actual fact, I do think we'll get a positive result and we will go through tomorrow. Whether that's after extra time and penalties, I'm not too sure, but I do think Manchester United will win, and I'm going for a Manchester United 2, Wolves 1 victory for the Reds, with Mason Greenwood scoring a late winner and Martial scoring during the game. Ollie's tactics are schoolboy, but the tactics against Norwich were brilliant. If we carry on with them tactics, opposition are going to adapt and read the play, but I believe in him. Let's give him time, says Alex Lee. Would you rest Matic for this game, says Daniel? It's a possibility, especially with that game against Liverpool on the horizon, us having no midfield. You could potentially play James Garner in there, or play Andreas Pereira deeper, play Mata, who had a very good game at the weekend. So play Andreas, Fred and Mata, Greenwood, Rashford, Marshall. You could see that and then rest Matic, and it wouldn't surprise me now that I've actually said that out loud, that would happen. Cheers, Jim Bob John. Thank you for getting involved in the comments. Maurice Varela says, can we win this game in normal time? Fingers crossed. My prediction is in normal time, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this one go to penalties at all. For the last 5, we haven't been able to win one of the last 5 games against Wolves, which is frustrating. Rashford for Daniel James starting on the left, says ZOT. Can't wait till the 1st of February, says Caribbean Gaming. Is that because the transfer window closes that day? Glenn Fletcher, you are not speaking to yourself, my old buddy. Rabia says, I really hope it's in the 90. Would be best to put the game to bed considering Liverpool on the weekend, and that is a good point which I haven't discussed yet. Paul says 1-0 United with late winner from Mason Greenwood. That would be nice. Zahir says, can Greenwood play number 10? I think he's pretty much flexible and can. Probably not his best position, but I think he could. He's a natural fit, the boy. And when he drops in central, he's got that ability to either open it up on left or the right foot or play the ball out wide. But it's not a position you want him to be playing week in, week out. You want him to get used to playing in one of those forward 3 positions out wide or up top through the middle. Shoaib, get doing your revision, man. What's going on? We're nearly done here anyway, so you've got a couple of minutes. It's all good. What is a successful season in the current circumstances, says Asma. If you look at where we are in the league, still in all the cup competitions, you'd say this is pretty much par for course. The problem's been that we've lost games that we shouldn't have been losing, or we've dropped points in games that we shouldn't have been losing. We've dropped points from in the league in 10 games from winning positions or 9 games from winning positions. That's pretty dreadful. If you would have won at least 4 of those games, you get 8 more points, maybe more. And you know, you look where that takes us in the league. We're comfortably in the top 4. So I think it's par for course where we are in the league, where we are in the cup competitions. It's just been those games have been really frustrating where we haven't been able to pick the lock against teams that have played a low block, or we've gone to teams that we should be beating away from home and simply haven't performed. But on the other hand, when you don't have a midfield and when you have very young players, you're always going to be inconsistent. And that is an argument that Solskjaer could make. But when you're Manchester United manager, there's very little room for excuses. And on that note, guys, actually let me end it on a positive note. I do think we're going to win tomorrow, and I'm going for 2-1. And with that being said, get your comments in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribing to AdamMcKola TV, like, comment, and share this video if you fancy it. And of course, get your thoughts in the comments below. If you tuned in live, thank you for tuning in. If you didn't watch us live, thank you for tuning in anyway. Today I did a Stat Wars with Football Daily, Euro Football Daily, so that will be coming up very soon as well. And I'm doing TalkSport Sports Bar tonight with Jason Cundy and Andy Goldstein, so make sure you check that out as well. The only talk sports show I will appear on. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to AdamMcKola TV. For now, I'm out.